Welcome back, Nerglings. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about my plan for Silver Tower, or making Warhammer Quest Great Again. Mukga for short. We'll go into what I want to achieve and hopefully a little of the how I'm going to do it. But before we start, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss an update. Right, here we go. Silver Tower, Silver Tower, Silver Tower. Now, this was a difficult decision to start this project. As you well know, I'm not really a fan of the new miniatures and especially the new fluff since Warhammer was destroyed in an effort to rejuvenate for a younger, let's face it, less patient fan base. So in an effort to preserve some of the old hammery goodness of Warhammer Quest, I went to pick up what was left of my original Warhammer Quest box set from my parents. Now, the original Warhammer Quest is more than 20 years old. It's an absolute classic of a game, full of great plastic miniatures, some lovely glossy dungeon tiles, and a pretty reasonable rule set that could quite easily scale up and down depending on the level of monsters you were facing. Not only that, but you got a huge, I think it was about 200-page roleplay book, or maybe 180-page roleplay book. That allowed you to build your miniatures a real adventure that could last longer than just a simple skirmish. It's this depth and character building that was so great about the game, and it is exactly what was missing from the original Hero Quest, which led to Advanced Hero Quest. Okay, so let's go into a bit more detail with each of the aims of this project. So, number one. Build a cool collection of models that can be used in a dungeon crawl. Building a collection of models, really, let's face it, that's why we're all here. We all want to turn our ideas into reality, much like artists that put their thoughts down in paint and pencil and charcoal. We put our ideas down in conversions, paint and dioramas. But where to begin? What I'd like to do is source as many of the original Warhammer Quest miniatures as I can from eBay, thrift stores and collecting groups, and bring them up to date with my dark fantasy style of painting and converting. In addition, I'll be using some of the miniatures from the Silver Tower box set, specifically the spider goblins, some of the acolytes and some of the heroes that look suitably sort of, 90s styled. I'm thinking maybe the paladin and the barbarian for starters. I like the style that they've got. Number two. Construct a 3D dungeon from a mix of new and old tiles from the original Warhammer Quest box set and Silver Tower. Okay, so we've eaten the veg already with the miniatures. This is the meat of the project. What I would like to do here is build a huge modular dungeon by mixing the new and original dungeon tiles, building a set of corridors, doors and walls and linking them all together with some colour and narrative themes. So for instance, a room that goes through a volcano with an old rickety bridge over a stream of lava would be sort of a deep sort of red colour and have sort of quite a strong, it would feel like, it had a theme to it. I think you sort of get the idea. A poison pool room would be sort of maybe a green colour. So it's sort of going back to sort of an old style of sort of telling these sort of stories. Number three, sharing tips and tricks during the series. A final piece of the puzzle, inspiration for all of us. Even if you don't copy anything I do directly, at least you'll see some of the techniques I use to create the stuff I do. You can then use those tips and tricks how you see fit to continue expanding and enjoying the hobby. And that's really the main thing that I really like to do here on YouTube, is to try and inspire people and try and draw a bit of inspiration from them as well whilst I do these projects. I know that's quite a lot of information in all honour, but I really want to get my ideas out in a video to kind of inform my own motivation, I suppose. Is that right? Yeah, I guess for the project. I almost want to sort of goad myself to really get starting with this project, as I sometimes feel that it's very easy to sort of drag your heels when you want to start something, but you've got lots of other things to do. I mean, I've still got hundreds of miniatures for my Chaos Army to paint. I've still got plenty of giants to be getting on with. There's always, there's always something else that I can be doing. So starting another project isn't always the best idea when you've got lots of projects on already. As always, feel free to give me your thoughts on the project. I'd be very keen to see any ideas you might have to improve, change things up, or add to what I've started. And of course, feel free to join me on my quest to make Warhammer Quest great again. It really would be epic if you started your own dungeons at the same time and we could sort of bounce ideas off of each other that way. To that end, be sure to like, share and subscribe, and thanks very much for watching. Peace.